Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're going to be looking at the work of Edouard Barr. He's a French inventor, and he really dedicated himself to creating assistive devices for people with disabilities and the elderly.
Yes, and his story is really fascinating. His journey began when his son became hemiplegic. Meaning he experienced paralysis on one side of his body. And this personal challenge kind of ignited Barr's creativity and led him to focus on these practical solutions.
I see. So he was inspired to help his son, and he decided to invent things to kind of help him in his everyday life.
Exactly. And what's really remarkable is his inventions, they're not complex gadgets. They're simple, often made from recycled materials.
Oh, wow. So he's really focused on practicality and affordability.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
He understands that accessibility goes beyond just the physical design of an object. It also has to be financially accessible.
Right. Because if people can't afford it, what good is it?
Exactly. And by using those recycled materials, focusing on simple mechanics, he makes these inventions affordable and readily available.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I was reading about how one of his early inventions was a device to help his son eat yogurt with one hand.
Oh, right. The yogurt eating aid.
Yeah.
And he showed that to staff at the rehabilitation center where his son was.
And they were impressed.
They were so impressed they asked him to make more. And I think that was kind of a turning point for him, where he realized, wow, these simple ideas can actually make a real difference.
So it wasn't just helping his son.
Yeah.
But he realized it could help a lot of people.
Yeah, and that's what's so powerful about his work. It's this ripple effect, A simple idea can have a huge impact.
So you're saying that even though his inventions are low-tech, they can still be incredibly impactful.
Absolutely. I think in a world that's obsessed with high-tech, we often overlook the beauty and effectiveness of simple solutions.
Yeah, and Barr really proves that. You don't need fancy technology to make a real difference.
Exactly.
One of the things that I found really interesting is that he shares his designs and instructions online.
Oh, yeah. That's incredible. It's like he's saying, if I can do this, you can too.
Exactly. And that really empowers others to build and adapt his creations.
It's a fantastic example of open source innovation. And it's crucial in a field like assistive technology because, diverse needs require diverse solutions.
So this open source approach allows people to kind of tailor the inventions to their own specific needs. That's great. Well, I think this has been a great overview of Edouard Barr's work so far. We've learned about his motivation, his inventive process, and the impact of his inventions. And we've also touched upon the importance of low-tech solutions in a high-tech world. But, there's still so much more to explore. So in the next part of our deep dive, we'll take a closer look at some of Barr's specific inventions and delve deeper into the philosophy behind his work. If you're enjoying this episode and want to see some of Barr's inventions in action, be sure to check out the podcast de Philippe on YouTube. They have a great video featuring Barr and his work, and they even demonstrate how some of his inventions are made. So we'll pick up this conversation in the next part. But for now, let's take a short break. It's interesting how Barr's work kind of challenges our assumptions about what constitutes high-tech and low-tech. We live in a world that's so obsessed with the newest gadgets, but sometimes we overlook the power of simple solutions.
Right. It's like we think that if it's not complicated or expensive, it can't be effective.
Exactly. And Barr's inventions really highlight the effectiveness of these low-tech solutions.
They're often more affordable, easier to maintain.
Yeah.
And you can really adapt them to specific needs.
Yeah, I was reading about his range cane invention.
Oh, yeah, that's a great example.
It's that cane holder that you can attach to, like, wheelchairs, sofas, chairs.
Basically any surface.
It's such a simple idea, but it's so practical.
And it just makes life so much easier for people who rely on canes.
And it's not just about the practicality, it's about dignity, too.
Absolutely.
By removing these barriers to everyday tasks, it allows people to participate more fully in their own lives.
And it gives them a sense of independence.
It's really inspiring.
It is, and it shows that, innovation doesn't always have to be about some groundbreaking technology. It can be about understanding a problem and finding a simple and elegant solution.
Yeah, and sometimes the simplest solutions are the best ones.
Exactly. And, another thing that I think is important to highlight is that Barr doesn't patent his inventions.
He doesn't.
No, he wants to make sure that everyone has access to them.
That's incredible.
It's a testament to his generosity and his commitment to helping others.
Sometimes I think we forget that. Innovation should be about improving lives.
Not about making profits.
Exactly. And Barr really embodies that spirit.
Absolutely.
I was thinking about something. Do Do you think there's a risk that low-tech solutions might be seen as less sophisticated in a society that values high-tech?
Well, there's definitely a cultural bias towards the new and shiny, but I think people are starting to realize that high tech isn't always the answer.
So you're saying that there's a growing appreciation for the value of simplicity.
I think so. And I think Barr's work is a big part of that.
And, at 83 years old, he's still inventing and sharing his creations.
It's amazing.
It's like he's showing us that. You're never too old to make a difference.
And that the drive to create and innovate doesn't have to fade with age.
His story is a great reminder that anyone can be an innovator.
You don't need a fancy degree or a lot of money, just the willingness to see a need and find a creative solution.
A little bit of ingenuity.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, this has been a really inspiring conversation.
It has.
We've learned so much about Edward Barr and his amazing work.
He's a true inspiration.
And I think his story has a lot to teach us about the power of innovation.
And the importance of using our creativity to make the world a better place.
Now, if you want to learn more about Edward Barr and his work, we highly recommend checking out Le Podcast de Philippe on YouTube.
They have a great episode that really showcases his ingenuity and his dedication.
It's definitely worth watching.
And, as we wrap up, I want to leave our listeners with a thought. What everyday challenges could you solve with a little bit of ingenuity and a focus on accessibility?
That's a great question to think about. So thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of low-tech innovation with Edward Barr. We hope you've been inspired to look for those opportunities to make a difference in your own communities.
And remember, even the simplest solutions can have a ripple effect.
So let's all strive to be a little bit more like Edward Barr and use our creativity to build a more inclusive world.
We'll see you next time on The Deep Dive.
It's amazing how he can create such impactful solutions with such simple materials and techniques.
It's really a testament to his creativity and ingenuity.
It really makes you think. Maybe we don't always need all this fancy technology to solve problems.
Yeah, sometimes the simplest solutions are the most effective. And definitely the most accessible.
And his approach is so inspiring. It's like he's saying anyone can make a difference.
Exactly. You don't need to be a tech genius or have a ton of resources.
But just a willingness to help and a little bit of creativity.
And what I find particularly inspiring is that he's not in it for the money or recognition.
Right. He just wants to help people.
Exactly. And I think that's a powerful message for all of us.
It's not always about fame or fortune. It's about using your skills to make the world a better place.
Absolutely. And I think Edward Barr is a shining example of that.
Well said. So as we wrap up our deep dive into the world of Edward Barr and low-tech innovation, let's all try to keep his spirit in mind.
Look for those opportunities to make a difference in your own communities.
And remember, even the smallest actions can have a big impact.
And if you're looking for more inspiration, be sure to check out Le Podcast de Philippe on YouTube.
They have a fantastic episode featuring Edward Barr and his work. It's definitely worth a watch.
So until next time, keep innovating and keep striving to make the world a more inclusive and accessible place.
Thanks for joining us on The Deep Dive.